Yeah.
So how do you feel being on this graveyard and seeing that memorial over there? How does that make you feel?
Like on first impression, obviously it's quite shocking to see, but then also I think there's that little bit of effort that has been made in attempts thereof to show some sort of consideration and commemoration for the victims of the genocide. I think the stones in particular, they tell two different stories, from a European or a German perspective, and then of course one from a local or Namibian perspective. And I find it quite interesting where there's this sort of praise or appreciation for the soldiers, where as opposed as from where I'm coming from, it is the exact opposite feelings that we would have for the soldiers, so because they carried out quite a genocide, obviously. So that's obviously something that has hurt us, and to this day still it's not something that has been accepted, so to say, by the Namibian people. We still have it's not, I wouldn't say resentment, that's quite a very strong word, but definitely we have ill feelings about the whole situation, definitely. And even when the German government declared it or acknowledged it as a genocide, for us it was like, all right, you accept it as a genocide, but now what exactly? And I think they pledged to, was it donate something about 1.1 billion euros over a certain period of time, but then the way this type of things work is who's really going to be the recipient and the beneficiary or the beneficiaries of this compensation that they wish to make. And then also it's like having objects like this, they tell a very strong message and picture in terms of what happened, but not the entire story. Because like if I started talking now in terms of how the genocide happened and the true essence of it, like there were concentration camps where children as young as 2 years old, they had to work building rail tracks and all of this type of stuff, and the kind of inhumane conditions that they had to experience. You don't get any mention of that on the stones. So it's like there's a certain narrative that I think the stones are trying to tell or trying to push, and I think it's just that part that's missing, where the whole story can be understood in the whole context. But I guess you get E for effort, right? Yeah.
Und was denkst du darüber, dass dass die beiden Steine ganz abgebaut werden sollen? Also das Museum hatte ja den Vorschlag, dass es anders, also dass es geändert wird, die Perspektiven, aber dass der Stein hier vor Ort bleibt. Und jetzt gibt es ja den Antrag, dass er in einem Museum kommt, wo andere Denkmäler sind.
So, as we explained earlier, the museum that they work in, they wanted to have a different perspective from this memorial so that it would stay here, but they would be offered another perspective on it, the right perspective. But this place where it stands, they decided, or they want to put it into a museum where you have other memorials as well. What do you think of that decision?
I think that's not necessarily the best decision, because then the whole story becomes lost within the other kind of exhibitions that are also being displayed in that particular museum. So I think it's better to have it more central. And then also I think you mentioned something about how the perspective will be told is who's also telling this specific perspective that you're mentioning. Is it coming from the European side, or is it coming from the Namibian perspective? So, yeah, so it's like, I think it's quite important to have, or to make sure that when the story or the perspective is told, it's accurate and the correct perspective from a person or an individual or an organization as well that has proper knowledge and has conducted proper research as well. So the message or the information that is displayed is not incorrect or doesn't leave certain parts or essential parts of the story out.
Und so wie Michael gesagt hat, es gibt ja auch viele, die sich hier treffen und diese wie hast du gesagt, diese alternative Erinnerungskultur, die sich etabliert hat, Leute, die sich auch hier treffen, die haben dann den Ort eben auch nicht mehr.
She just added that, just as he said, there are also people coming here to memorize not the German soldiers but the victims, and if it kind of created a subculture of remembrance right here. And if that were gone, then of course there wouldn't be a public place anymore where you could go and remember.
And I think that's a very common theme in terms of, like, not only in Germany, in Namibia it's the same thing. There's no historic monument or an iconic place where you can pay your respects and commemorate the victims, so to say. Like in Swakopmund specifically, they have graveyards, yeah, that are there, but then tourists, when they come for holidays, that's where they can go for vacation and go ride quad bikes and do all this kind of sandboarding and sand surfing and all these things. And this is an actual gravesite where victims of the genocide are buried literally. So I think there's a lack of commemoration in terms of just having or remembering the victims, not so to say the whole genocide itself, but just honoring the victims. I think there's only like one stone, almost similar to this one, that is in the middle of the desert with the names of the victims from the genocide, but mainly I think more on the Herero side, which is also why
We have been there. Perhaps Lily, you can talk about it shortly. About
the
this,
graveyard?
yes.
Oh, you guys saw it, yeah?
Yeah, we
Yes,
went
we
exactly.
have been
Yeah.
there.
She has pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Perhaps you can
So,
tell
as you can see,
something
like,
about
is-
it, Lily.
You can do it.
Das war dieses.
So this basically just says, or it honors the memory of the thousands of Herero and Nama men and children who perished on that specific site. Like I mentioned, that's where they were buried. Instead of being offered decent or proper funerals or commemoration, their bodies just shallow graves that were dug there, and then sand was put over there to cover them up. Exactly. This is the one I was referring to. Yeah. So, and this is basically one of the only few facts that can memorize, or we can, for us to commemorate the whole genocide in Namibia.
And the situation is also the same as here in Germany.
Exactly. What
All
I'm saying.
the places that have been established are done by the civil society. They're not, also von der Zivilgesellschaft und nicht von Institutionen.
Yeah, because it's really difficult to get funding, so to say, for this kind of projects, to amplify it and to make it more known and to really drive the message home. It's not something that the local governments give too much interest or investment in. So it really has to be something that you personally decide to take up yourself, and then you pursue it, and then you try and make a change or make a difference and spread the message about it. Yeah.